news that I'd like to present. You might want to use that.
Okay.
Or is that working?
Is it working?
Okay, just move.
Yeah, so there's been a number of interesting breakthroughs recently related to privacy technology, and I think it can really change everything. And I think it's this is just a crucial moment in the history of privacy technology and information technology generally. Oh, sorry, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Does everyone hear me in the back?
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks.
That-
Oh, you want to put it on full screen then?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Let's see, that would be... where's the full screen thing? There. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we can really start. So it's an honor and pleasure to be here, and you know, when we say disrupt in the area of technology, we're referring to really change a whole business area, because we can damage the existing businesses and come out with something that's just way better. And in this case, it's even stronger than that. And so what we can do is actually disrupt three major areas of information technology. And if you think about it, money and communication and identity are really the three big areas. So let me try to walk you through that in the time we have. When I was a graduate student at UC Berkeley in late 70s, I had this epiphany. This idea came to me that the world was going to be digital, and there were really only two ways that this could happen. One way is where it's the Web 2 way. People would be controlled by information technology. It's a dystopia. And the other way is more of a Web 3 way, where people would have control over their own informational lives. And I started figuring out ways to do that by giving people keys to their own data using cryptography. So I basically invented privacy technology, and this led me down a whole history of different things. The first was that, you know, the National Security Agency, the US government, threatened to put people in jail if they would organize a conference on cryptography, because their view was that cryptography was born classified, like nuclear secrets. And so, knowing how important privacy technology would be for the upcoming informational world that we're finding ourselves in today, I risked spending my life in jail to organize a conference on cryptography. And okay, you can read about it on my website. This organization continues to exist. It's the main organization in the field. We have 3 conferences a year and so on. And then I worked out my ideas further beyond what I presented there, and those appeared in Scientific American and also in the Best Journal of Computer Science at the time and so on. So I spread the ideas out widely, how cryptography could be used to protect personal privacy in in communication, money, and identity. And then I started a company to actually make it happen, DigiCash, and we launched electronic money with privacy and censorship resistance that was used in the late 90s, both with the money that we issued, cyberbucks, like Bitcoin, if you will, and the other, which we capped at like 1 million cyberbucks, and we airdropped it in today's terminology. And you can see the eCash Museum. If you go to chaum.com, you can see all the press releases in the shops that sold things for eCash. And, oh, is that, is the image back? There it is, good. And then later, I founded XX Network, which provides privacy. This uses the second of the two types of privacy technology that I had developed. The first one was the blind signatures for untraceable electronic payments, privacy in payments. And the second one is mixing, which provides privacy in communication because the messages are shuffled at each step as they travel through the network. So you can read about all this at chaum.com. So this spans back 40 plus years, but recently I had a second epiphany, and that is that because of AI, now privacy technology can disrupt all of these major information technology markets. And I'm going to try to show you why that is true, how it can work, how it can do that. And I would say that, in a sense, it's the future of civilization really depends on privacy technology. You know, we've seen a lot of damage done by social networks to civilization, and I don't think anyone could argue with the idea that if a really evil activity gets a hold of artificial intelligence, that they won't be able to use it to maintain their power on an ongoing basis. You know, we as civilians, we would be helpless to defend ourselves against robots and AI and drones and all this stuff. There's never been a situation like this in the history of the world. If we lose this battle for personal control over information technology, then there won't be a second chance. So fortunately, I think we can win this because AI can help us make privacy technology easy to use for the first time. You know, it's really suffered over the years. I've been an advocate of this for decades, and it's always been very difficult to use. And the other thing is, it's very difficult to gain market share with something. You know, you have countries like Japan, which are high trust countries, right, where people aren't that sensitive to the need for privacy. So you have entrenched players who are making a lot of money spying on everybody and abusing this information. But it turns out that I think that AI can turn the world on its head in this regard, because you can use AI to find the best products and services for you. And that means it won't be fooled by all kinds of advertising and hype and the incumbents and so on. It'll go straight to find the best solution, and the best solution will be one that protects you and your privacy and your data. So I think AI can really help. And so let's look at the three technology areas real quickly. So the first one is communication. Today is mostly mobile, which is a really good example. So, you know, my mobile phone only uses one carrier, but there's a lot of carriers that offer bandwidth and Wi-Fi's and so on that I can't use. So I may be suffering with poor connectivity or poor latency and bandwidth, but someone else sitting right next to me might have great access. And this is not what I want. And it's not what my AI wants for me. So what's much better for me is if I can pay for access at each moment from the best offerings that are available to me at that moment. But in order to do that with privacy, I need eCash. Like I need untraceable electronic money. This is the blind signature eCash that DigiCash pioneered in the 90s. So instead of identifying yourself and your phone with its IMSI and so on, in order to gain access, you can rather pay for your access. And so that means that various providers will have to start competing. They don't want to turn away these payments, but they won't be able to see who's using it. However, when someone wants to reach you, there has to be a way for the message to reach you. And we've also recently solved that in the Privacy suite. So in conversations with a number of CEOs of mobile phone operators, they all seem to agree that this is the future. Consumers want privacy, and once you have systems like this, they will tend to dominate. So we can see here that there's what's going on? I was hoping to use this pointer, but I don't think it wants to work. So you see each row is for a different party in the system. So we have the users, and then we have the system providers. And so for the users, obviously, better access, cheaper, with privacy is way better. So that's enough to get them to switch to these new systems, and AI can make sure that the user experience of these much superior products can be equal to that of other more invasive products, and people can, as I mentioned, find these products very quickly. So, of course, people will appreciate the privacy, but it's not the thing that's driving it. But when the AI makes the choice, what's best for you, they will choose the one that has the privacy, and the phone operators, you know, will choose. They like privacy actually because it reduces their liability to holding all this data. There was a recent, you've seen the news, leak of a huge amount of data from some mobile phone operators. And then I put the government down there at the bottom. How many people noticed that someone was able to figure out the phone numbers of all the CIA operatives that visited their headquarters, and then which countries they went to on which dates, and so on, all that just from public data? Did you notice that in the press? Very good. Yeah, just amazing. So governments, you know, don't want their people being traced. So this is a reason that, you know, they have mixed feelings. They like to spy on other people, but they don't want their people to be spied on. So it's the same if we look at so payments, it's kind of the killer app, as we used to say. It's the really easy, low-hanging fruit use of information technology that got Bitcoin going and so on, Ethereum, right? But fiat currencies are, ruining the lives of most people on the planet because they're unable to save and accumulate wealth, basically, and they're taxed at a very high rate when they want to make payments, 4 to 6%, and they're unable to save, and they're unable to get consumer credit. And so with Better Than Money, which is, look at it, the white paper and the video on my website, chaum.com, it is a way for people to hold portfolios of all kinds of assets and transfer value from one portfolio directly to another portfolio, so people don't have to hold cash. So we've got about 4 billion people on the planet who don't have access to consumer credit, but we can provide that in an attractive way so they can use the credit card rails. So Better Than Money is a very interesting new development, and it will dramatically help the global poor accumulate wealth, participate in the global economy, and it'll be easy to use. So instead of AI helping banks figure out how to invest your money for their profit, AI can help you invest your money in a way that's best for you. You have your own unique risk profile. You have certain countries where you travel to, your friends are in, and so forth. Maybe your business involves certain kinds, or your expenses, certain kinds of commodities. So you can invest in a way that's best for you to hedge your risks and accumulate value for you, and then not be taxed when you have to transfer value to other people, so you can stay out of fiat. So if the global economy craters because of this credit reset or whatever you hear about, if people are holding a portfolio of assets, they aren't going to panic, and they're not going to lose confidence, and civilization does not have to be destroyed. So it's just very attractive to users, and it's advantageous to banks because they can extend credit without risk, it turns out, and governments, they like to keep everything in country and stop their friends or their enemies from using the payment system and so on, but on balance, they don't want to have to deal with dramatic social unrest, so I think they will be happy with Better Than Money. And so let's turn to the third use, what I've called it identity. So there's a new technology which you may have heard a little bit about. It's called Zanzibar, and it's a huge breakthrough that allows biometric scan data to be encrypted immediately at the moment of scan, and then it can still be compared to a database of users that are already enrolled, say, in the system, but only if a majority of nodes in the network agree to allow those tests to be made, so that no one can add people or take people out of the database, and no one can see the raw biometric data, and it's never stored anywhere. And this is a big deal. And we'll see there's a little more to the identity story, but essentially, in this case, the wholesale, the providers of the system, are the ones who really have this huge liability. You know, there's 1.2 billion fingerprints in a database in India, right, for their Aadhaar system. If that leaks, those fingerprints are useless forever for those people. Moreover, the whole global fingerprints system may be damaged. I mean, all these huge databases. When I came to Japan, I was asked to give my fingerprints to the government. So, you know, these databases represent a huge vulnerability for these organizations, and so I think they would like to have a way to keep all this data encrypted. And of course, as you know, governments like to spy on people, but they also like their spies to be protected. So they like to have ways to inject false identities into these systems for their agents and victims of crime and so forth. So, but there's a deeper and more fundamental breakthrough in identity technology, which you probably haven't heard of. It's called U-factor. We sometimes call it inalienable identity. And what it does is it lets people have a public key that they are proven to know the private key for. So when you get a U-factor identity, you have to prove in zero knowledge that you really have memorized the private key. And that means no one can take that away from you. And so when you want to vote, not inside a booth, but with your mobile phone, so you can participate in meaningful democracy at scale, please read about the sample voting on Chaum.com. It's pretty interesting what technology can now do in terms of direct democracy. But if you want to participate in democracy without having to go into a booth, so to be able to vote on a lot of different things, then you have to have, it turns out, a U-factor identity, because otherwise someone could bribe you or claim that they bribed you by sending you Bitcoin or ETH or whatever, and they could make sure that you really voted the way they wanted. But with U-factor, you can give them all your keys, and they still can't be sure how you voted, because you can always use your private key to cancel your votes secretly. And that's one of the interesting uses of U-factor. So, this is my hope for the future of civilization. It's simply that ordinary people will be able to protect their own privacy, and so they will be able to participate in governance of civilization without fear of AI spying on them, and actually control how AI does everything. So more specifically, it's possible to create an election system in which every meaningful decision, and there can be tens of thousands of them in a sample voting system, is actually decided on by humans. So Musk said that any job could be replaced by AI. But of course, this would be wrong, because the job of protecting humans from domination by those using AI is a job that can only be done by humans. So humans have to make the ultimate decisions about a whole range of issues, and that is what is easily possible with sample voting. So if privacy technology prevails, then people will be able to protect themselves from AI, and with U-Factor be able to vote meaningfully. And so AI can help with everything, like Machines of Loving Grace, if you've heard of this poem, but it will not be able to push people around and take over, be used by evil forces. So this is why I'm saying that privacy technology right now is so crucial, and yet it can actually help make itself be widely used, and then it can be a critical ingredient in allowing people to control the future of civilization. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure being here.